This Islamic summit waka when President Tinubu go for Saudi Arabia here, which day? Meanwhile, he don't come back yesterday night. Yeah? But on his journey, he talks about the fight between Israel and Gaza. And he's asking for that fight to stop. He's asking for them to come to a peaceful resolution. And let me show you this video. I'll come back. And then after I show you this video, Rufai and Ruben Abati have some very educative information to give about the Israel and Gaza matter. And then you get what I would like to talk. Let's watch this.
We begin here at home as President Bola Tinubu has called for an end to Israeli aggression in Gaza. Addressing the extraordinary Arab-Islamic summit in Saudi Arabia, President Tinubu warned that the conflict in Palestine has persisted for far too long, inflicting immeasurable suffering. He expressed concern over humanitarian conditions in Gaza. Now, President Tinubu also affirmed Nigeria's support for a two-state solution.
Okay.
It is with profound sense of duty that I call before you as we work to end the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and realize the two-state solution. This is urgent and very urgent. Conflict in Palestinian homeland has persisted for too long, inflicting immeasurable suffering on countless lives.
That's true.
As representative of nations that value justice, dignity, and the sanctity of human life, we have a moral obligation to collectively bring about immediate end to this conflict.
Okay.
We need to find a new pathway to peace without delay. Nigeria has always championed the cause of peace and cooperation among nations.
Okay.
Our own experiences, domestically and regionally, have taught us that identity politics are no substitute for respecting the nuances of diversity. The path to reconciliation may be fraught with challenges, but it is through honest conversation and deal-making that we can foster understanding. The international community has the opportunity to bear the new resolution.
All right.
Nigeria lending its voice to the global conversation around the crisis in the Middle East. Rufai, your take on this contribution?
Okay, so for so many years, we've been talking about a two-state solution. Many years, over 50 years now, we're talking about a two-state solution. But let's dial back as regards the Middle East crisis. Many maps have been drawn, and it just shows you how convoluted the Middle East story is. In 1916, Sykes and Picot, Mark Sykes and Picot, this French and British, both diplomats, drew the map of the Middle East when France and Britain shared the Middle East.
Okay.
A lot of that was greatly affected when Balfour made his declaration that Israel, a Jewish state, must exist inside Palestinian territory. But most of the map was redrawn in 1967, where Israel took the Golan Heights, close to the Sheba farms, that's on the flank of Lebanon. They took Gaza Strip from Egypt, and they went ahead to take the West Bank from Jordan. Afterwards, Israel has just consolidated, and as it goes, when they try to cede control a little bit of the Gaza Strip, what happened in 2006, Hamas came in, Hamas became headline. Hamas happened to them on the 7th of October. It has caused this new fresh wave of fights.
Yeah.
It's not the first time we're going to have fights. We had many intifadas, the Al-Hassa intifadas and the likes. But the talk about this two-state solution is not practical as we speak.
God, I don't agree.
As long as Israel has military might, and they have taken and consolidated territory since the 1967 wars, and they have the support of America, and which they have proven again that they can go into Gaza, decimate Gaza, take territorial control over these areas, Israel will not push for a two-state solution. They have accepted it in the past, but for them it's no longer on the table now. So except the West is honest and tell America the hard truth that you can't continue to support Israel in this madness going on in the Middle East, nothing is going to happen. We just keep deceiving ourselves, and this two-state solution talk is going to be a rhetoric. Because there is no person that will have that military might that Israel has in that region, fighting on two flanks at the Sheba Farms area, going into Lebanon, going into Gaza, decimating Gaza, and that we accept to see those powers in a two-state solution.
Okay, what we're discussing here basically is Nigeria's foreign policy position on the crisis in the Middle East.
Okay.
And Nigeria has been very consistent in saying that it's a non-aligned country, and that where the Middle East is concerned, it is committed to the idea of the two-state solution, which in fact was brokered, by America at a point, and some people even got Nobel Prizes for peace on account of that. So Nigeria has been very consistent in that particular regard. What Nigeria is asking for is basically peace, reconciliation in the Middle East. Whether that is achievable or not, every country can have its own foreign policy priorities. So I think in that regard, President Tinubu is exactly on point.
Okay.
Except we'll review our foreign policy position in that direction. Now, as to the substance of the submissions by President Tinubu, he's calling for peace, he's calling for negotiations, and he's also saying that principles of international law, a rules-based international order governed by rules, should be respected.
Yeah.
In part of that speech, he talked about the right to self-defense, which is what Israel has always been talking about. But he talked at the same time about proportionality. And I even went under the Geneva Conventions and the relevant conventions governing international relations. A country feels that it has to defend itself. You cannot upturn the rules-based international order. That is what Israel has been doing.
Yeah.
And I think Nigeria is also right to go to that Arab Islamic Summit in Riyadh. Second time we're showing up at a similar summit in recent times, and to say that, look, peace is not something that can be negotiated, and all persons involved must respect the value of peace. The third point, which I think is also valid, made by President Tinubu, was the need to worry about persons who are comprador,
innocent people,
persons that are not directly involved in the
fight
or the combat. Yeah, okay, that's a more exact expression. Who are now victims, children, people who are displaced, people who are not allowed to basically. I think this is an important point to make, and I think that is speech is in order. The second point is that, however, Nigeria is making this point at that summit in Riyadh against the background of the hypocrisy of the West. Now, the West will come and say, oh, Israel, don't do this. We will not give you arms. But they will do a different thing at the end of the day. So it's the hypocrisy at the heart of the international order that is part of the problem, to such an extent that even the United Nations, who seem not to have a voice in moderating the reign of madness in many parts of the world.
Okay. I deliberately played these Rufai parts and Ruben and Patty so that we get educated on the reason for the fight on the ground. But that is not my own part of the issue. President Tinubu has no right morally to be advising for peace in the wahala between Israel and Gaza. The one we dey go through for Nigeria here, how many times he don't call for peace? Well, how is Nigeria better than Israel and Gaza fight? Have we not been fighting non-stopping here? Not been now with a new group of bandits, look at how I don't call so. Okay, man, we even come more bandits inside this our country. Some people don't have the right to vote in some regions. There are foot soldiers that are ready to flog you with tankere. We are having intertribal fights and hatred for ourselves caused by his election. We are going through a lot here. A man whose house is on fire does not go about trying to settle peace in people's homes. Your house, your own house, is not in peace. So leave Israel and Gaza first. Make Nigeria peaceful. This is where you were voted, or this is where you claim to have been voted to do the right thing. All those advice you to go give for Saudi Arabia is called eye service. Just go beg the money you want beg me, you come back. Leave Israel. We not send you. May you go put mouth for their matter.